looks good. Go ahead, Tuan. Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, by participating in Google Solution Challenge, it's time for you to build your network with Google expert and making friends. Network is super important, and it's hard to say in nowadays in this time. Meeting with people is super hard because you have to meet people virtually. You know what I mean? And you will receive guidance from mentor at Google to make your idea into real project that solve real world problem. And recruiter from tech companies, they love to know what you have built during your school time. And it's a huge evaluation for them. You will have a chance to use Google technology for free. And it's time for you to learn new skills like project skill, leader skill, um, project management skill. And you have to put yourself out of comfort zone. And who knows what else you're gonna learn, right? So to register with a DSC, you just need to go to the website dsc.community.tel and search for your university, which us is Portland State University, and click the join button. Simple.
Yeah, and for our club, we do also have a Google form to fill out. It's on the last slide. We'll show that at the end, but yeah. Thanks, Tuan. All right, so now let's get into the actual topic of the solution challenge. So this year's topic is United Nations humanitarian goals. So the UN has a list of 17 humanitarian goals on their website. And the solution challenge, the Google Solution Challenge has decided to focus on these goals. So each project entry has to be based around one of these UN goals. So we're going to go to the website and kind of explore these together. But before I do that, I just want to encourage you guys to try and pick out like 1 to 3 of these that look interesting to you. Maybe it's something that you've already worked on in the past or something that you're passionate about. Just look at ones that you'd maybe be interested in having a project about. So let's go to the UN website. And so these are all the goals. There's 17 of them. And the first like 1 through 7 goals, all right. Yagana is here, so our chat moderator is here now. But what I was saying is the first like 7 goals are pretty clear what they're about. It's pretty clear what they're about. We have no poverty, 0 hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, and then all the way to affordable and clean energy. So they're pretty straight and to the point. But as we move down this list, we have number 10 is reduced inequalities. And then we have peace, justice, and strong institutions is number 16. So these ones are a little bit more complex and it's not quite clear what they are about. So let's read a couple of the descriptions. If you hover over one of these, and if you guys want to look at this for yourself, let me put the link in the chat real quick. Make sure, oh, thank you, Yana. All right, so you guys have got that. All right, so let's read goal number 16. It's to promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. So that's a pretty big goal. It's, about peace and, properly functioning institutions at like the society and government level, freedom, stuff like that. So there's probably a lot of projects actually that could fit under that category because it's a pretty like broad reaching goal. And then we have like life below water is number 14. So that one is conserve and sustainably use the oceans, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. And then climate action, that might seem kind of similar to life below water. But if we read the description, it's take urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts. So the difference between these, number 14, I think it's more about like, how do we continue to use the ocean as a resource for humans while, you know, keeping it a safe place for the sea life that lives there? And like, how do we share the ocean, basically? And then climate change or climate action is, you know, how do we take action to reverse climate change and protect the environment, and, you know, stop climate change, basically. And then if we look at good health and well-being is another good example. This one's a simple one. Ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. And if we actually click more info on any of these, not sure why it's so slow, it will actually take us to a whole page dedicated to this goal, with some statistics and kind of just an overview of the situation, the global situation for this goal is for healthcare. So we see, you know, there's been progress in health areas, but it needs acceleration. And since COVID-19, you know, healthcare disruptions could reverse decades of improvements. And we see down here, less than half of the global population is covered by essential health services. So this gives you a good picture of, you know, what the situation is like globally. But you might have to do more research for, you know, what needs are in your local community and in the US specifically. So, you know, what does healthcare look like in your city or in your state, stuff like that. You might have to do some research on that specifically. But this site does give you a good overview. So let's look at one more. Let's look at this one real quick. Life below water. And so a lot of these pages have, you know, the scenario before COVID and then after COVID. And usually it's like before COVID it was bad, and then after COVID it got even worse. But luckily for this one, it's actually COVID has made the oceans better. So the drastic reduction in human activity has allowed the oceans to recover a little bit. And it says, you know, sustainable fisheries actually contribute to the GDP. So this is kind of an overview of the situation here. So yeah, hopefully that gives you an idea of a few of those goals. And, you know, you might be thinking, okay, Leilani, this is really cool, but I already have a project idea that I really want to do, and I'm dead set on it. And now I have to think about all these like UN goals. I didn't sign up for this. So let's say you had like an idea to help people find the right electric car for their lifestyle. Well, you know, that kind of idea could probably fit into number 7 here, like affordable and clean energy, because electric vehicles, you know, reduce fossil fuels, right? So a lot of these are really broad, and I think a lot of ideas can kind of be organized into one of these categories. All right, so let's get back. And Michael, go ahead and take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Leilani. So I wanted to show this video is an example of a previous finalist from this year. And the project is called Corona AI. Let's go ahead and play that video. think there's an audio issue.
All right, you guys can't hear it? Not at all, or? Okay,
Not at
let's
all,
see.
no.
Yeah, I probably did not check that box. All right.
Technology to change because it is time to create.
Was that better? Yeah, okay, let's redo it.
Corone AI, creating technology to change because it is time to create technology that helps our doctors. What we did was create a band filled with electrodes that, once put on a patient's chest, creates images that can then connect to a computer screen for easy access. This computer screen can easily be connected to any dashboard that is accessible by a doctor without the doctor having to be in the same room. Our solution provides doctors with a mechanism that allows them to detect which patient is in a more severe condition and how to allocate their resources efficiently. Our machine gives instantaneous results, is portable, and is much cheaper compared to the existing methodologies today. This concept is based on electrical impedance tomography. What this does is it creates a tomographic image because of the intersection points of the different electrodes. As you can see, each red circle in this image is one electrode that emits a tiny small amount of current, because of which there is an equipotential change that all the other electrodes face, and at each intersection it comes together to form a tomographic image. Coupled with our machine learning algorithms, this image is then turned into a 3D illustration of the human lung. With this information, we are able to extract what the lungs look like when the patient is breathing, and therefore are able to detect what parts of the lung are affected and any progress in the patient's condition based on the scan from the previous day and the scan that's been done today. Doctors no longer need to bring patients out of their wards and take them to do a CT scan, and now they too can practice social distancing. It's time to use technology to help the doctors and nurses who are working so hard to help us. It's time for Corone AI.
Yeah, so I'll explain that more. Yeah. So it was super cool. Like in the Corona AI video, the teams aim to support healthcare workers during the beginning of the pandemic. The solution that they created is used to develop and improve treatment times and improve treatment accuracy for patients who are experiencing COVID-19 symptoms. And it was with the use of electric impedance tomography. And from what I gathered from the video, they used a Velcro band, a Raspberry Pi, and a couple of sensors and an AI system that they developed to visualize and create a 3D representation of like a patient's lung, as you can see in the left picture right here. And I guess that band is going to be that circle that would surround and hit specific points of the lung to generate that 3D image, which is super cool. It was developed by the University of California, Berkeley students, and they were later invited to present their solution in the Solution Challenge Day 2020 event. So I'll go on to the next slide, and we'll talk about the first steps in creating your solution. But before you got to do that, you have to find a good problem. And as paradoxical as it might seem, it is important to think of a good problem. A good problem will help you stay on track, inspire others, and ultimately create an amazing solution. Now, some of you may have like a problem already that you'd like to solve, and that's great. But if you don't, I'd like to help you here. So for some people, like you can ask, like, how do I find a problem that I'm really passionate about. And something that I commonly ask myself is, what problems do I or possibly others face on a day-to-day basis? This will help you with the first steps of finding the problem that you're interested in. In addition, I think you should also ask professors, local businesses, nonprofit organizations, and of course your family and friends for more ideas. And just a reminder, remember to check the United Nations goals that Leilani previously mentioned to see if your problem and later solution fits and falls under the category of a certain topic provided. And on to the next slide, I'll show you a quick example that you can ask your previous professor that you did such a great job in last quarter. You can ask like, where do you spend most of your time at work? And of course, this is probably mostly going to be virtual. Maybe there's some things that they would like to improve in that situation. In addition, what did you find most difficult about your job? I know for many of my professors, they found it very difficult to keep students engaged during the online lectures. And finally, last but not least, you can also ask what tools you wish you had available. And for professors specifically, maybe they could use like some sort of interaction tool or somehow to make just learning fun, as we're not there in class physically. And after interviewing a couple of people, may have found some great problems. Next, I'm gonna pass it to Tuan to help you define the solution.
As I saw, a lot of students will probably skip the problem definition step and trying to build a solution right away. And things gonna get messy and confusing, biased, debatable, and even controversial. You still have plenty of time to work on the project, and I advise you to spend more time on researching the problem. Finding a problem in the United States is difficult. You don't have to like solve world hunger, CO2 emissions overnight. You can solve like a tiny fraction, the big problem, as soon as much as it's a problem.
Yeah,
And
that's a great point, Tuan. I kind of forgot to mention that. Like the UN goals are very big, like, you know, no hunger. You know, we're not expecting you guys to solve world hunger. We're, you know, if you want to do that goal, you know, something that helps, you know. And the Corona AI was a great example because it helps that situation a lot. But obviously, it's not curing COVID, and we wouldn't expect it to. But yeah, thanks.
yeah,
Tuan.
the problem may be from your house, your neighborhood, your county, your city, a bigger, a small part of community. Any problem, yeah. And when you found a problem and start asking or interviewing people around your community, prepare a list of questions beforehand, like what's the problem and what does it happen, how does it begin, like how to end it. And you will probably meet a lot of dead end. So keep researching and interview them multiple times and show them what you have found. Keeping a look, and you will like successfully identify your solution.
Awesome. All right, so now let's talk about building your team. So you can have up to 4 team members, like Danny was explaining. And we at the PSU DSC do recommend that you have 4 team members, just so that you can have as many smart people as possible working together. Yeah, so you might be thinking like, okay, well, I already have my best friend and me working on a project. Do I really have to find 2 other people? And you don't technically, you can have a team of 2 if you'd like, or 3. But we really encourage you to reach out and find new people, because with new people come new perspectives and new experiences to your team. And that will benefit your project, to have different experiences, different skill sets coming together and stuff. And it'll also help you prepare yourself for the real world, whether you're going to be a developer or a project manager or whatever you want to get into. You don't pick your coworkers in the real world. You kind of get assigned people to work with at random. And it's a really good skill to make sure you can like learn how to work with new people, and adapt to different work environments and different people. So that's our advice on that. And then from all the research that we did about team building for small teams, it seemed like the common consensus was to have a team leader. So that would be, one person you pick from the team who is kind of like the coordinator and helps with making sure that your project meets milestones by agreed upon dates, and kind of just helps everybody collaborate on the project. And the team leader, it's important to remember that the team leader doesn't have to be, a dictator or a president. They're not someone who's making all the decisions for the group. The team leader is really just playing another role, just like any other member of the team. And you can choose the team leader based on whoever wants to do it, whoever wants to build their management skills. If there's multiple people, that might be a little tricky, but you don't necessarily have to choose your team leader yet. You can start thinking about it. But we are going to have a second, a part 2 to this event, and we're going to do more like team building exercises at that event. So if you want to start finding people that you might want to be team members with and tell them to go to our next event, that would be awesome. And Michael, go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, so let's start with a quick breather for us and initiate a 5-minute break with me, Tuan, and Leilani. Oh, and also our guest speaker, Danny, most importantly. Let's get that started. Any questions? I do have one for Danny. So let's say I'm not part of a DSC club right now. Should I sign up for my closest local DSC club, or what do you suggest about that?
No, that's a great question. So yes, if you're not part of a DSC chapter yet, or your school does not have a local DSC chapter, not to fret. The website we mentioned earlier, dsc.community.dev, is going to have all of the North America Developer Student Club chapters available for y'all to join. My recommendation is always to find one closest to you. That way, if the in-person events do decide to make an appearance back, if things get better, you could potentially, meet with some of your teammates in person. Also, selfishly, it would be really cool if perhaps maybe your developer student club could be started by you taking part in this challenge and showing us that there is a desire to have a chapter locally at your university, college, community college, you name it, right? And actually, if I could kind of just branch off of that question, Michael.
Yeah.
Regardless of if you know someone who's in this call right now, that does not exclude them from joining this challenge. Anyone who is actively enrolled in a higher education school, community college, university, you name it, all they have to do is follow the rules and guidelines that we've shared above, i.e. the biggest one is joining a developer student club chapter and being an active member, and they are absolutely able to take part in this competition. So if one of your friends maybe goes to, I don't know, University of Texas, San Antonio, which doesn't currently have a developer student club chapter, you could absolutely invite them to your team and have them help you through this challenge.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Of
Um,
course.
So pretty early on, we did have a question from Dawei. I'm probably pronouncing your name wrong. I'm really sorry. But they asked, I'm already graduated 4 months ago. Am I still eligible to attend this challenge?
That's a great question. So one of the things this challenge is specifically geared for is for students who are currently enrolled in university, college, or community college, right? If you are not actively, enrolled, unfortunately, this challenge is not going to be made available to you. If you are taking one class, if you're taking classes, like I said, at a community college to kind of learn something as well, you are absolutely able to take part. But unfortunately, you do have to be actively enrolled in one of those education systems that I did mention.
Yeah, sorry we didn't get to that earlier. Thank you for being at our event, though. We appreciate it.
Yeah, and the other thing I would say for you is, just because you can't take part in the solution challenge doesn't mean you can't take part in some of the amazing events which will be hosted along the way. So still become a developer student club community member, join, give us feedback on events. We would love to have you.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, if there's no other questions from the audience, I am just going to bring up one that I've kind of received from other communities, and then we can move on. Danny, uh, you know, I happen to live in an area which has a lot of businesses and nonprofits which are very affected by COVID-19 and the virtualization of the entire world. Can I work with a business or nonprofit and build a solution for them? The answer is simply absolutely. In fact, I would encourage each and every one of y'all after this call, step back and look at your LinkedIn. Number one, because you got to add me. Number two, because you never know who's in your network who may work for a local company which has been drastically affected during this virtualization. You could actually send them a message and perhaps even invite them to an opportunity where they talk about how their has been affected by COVID-19, and maybe you and all of the community members could pitch different ideas to them, and maybe come up with different solutions for the same issues. So check your networks and do not hesitate to send those messages, right? It's definitely something which you will grow from. And I think upcoming in just a few seconds, we will show you why it's so important to take that extra step yourself. So if there's no other questions, I think we could probably continue on.
Yeah, we do have one from Tuan. Do you want to ask it, Tuan?
Yeah, I'm taking logs of progress, like who I have been interviewed with, who I asked, who I have made connection with, and for those like progress, will it impact to my final score?
So it's not going to necessarily raise or lower your score, but what it's going to do is help make sure that whatever the issue these individuals were facing, you were following through and building the best possible solution, right? One of the things that we did cover in the evaluation criteria is it's not necessarily that we're going to be grading the complexity of your codes and your logs and things like that. Some solutions are just very for lack of a better word, simple. And there's not necessarily like a certain amount of logs that we're looking for to give you bonus credit, right? We're more just looking for you to, again, for me to use that Star Wars analogy, kind of stay on target, right? For you to make sure that the solution builds and answers what it is you were originally starting for. great question. If anyone else has questions, please drop them in the chat. Feel free to unmute and ask us now. You know, we do have a little bit of a smaller audience, so happy to answer any and all questions.
Yeah, definitely. And if you guys want to ask, if you guys think of other questions, or you just don't want to ask right now, you can go into the North America Developer Student Club Slack if you're in it and tag Danny. Or you can ask us in our PSU DSC Slack if you're a member of our DSC. If you become a member, we'll add you to our Slack channel. Or you can ask in your own DSC if they have a Discord or a Slack. Hopefully they'll be able to help you. Can't promise that they will, but hopefully.
If they don't, you just reach out to me on LinkedIn and we'll get you those questions answered. No worries.
Yeah. All right. So let's do our little brainstorming challenge now. So is there a question? Okay, do we want to answer that question real quick?
Yeah, I can answer that question for Johnny. So Johnny asked, in the case where we have defined a problem and we have also defined a solution to the problem, but we lack the ability to build the prototype, will that affect our standing in the competition? Yes. So one of the things that we are looking for in this process is for you to have a fully designed solution, which ultimately we would be able to see how it would work as if it was a fully launched, application, product, business, right? One of the things that this is designed to do, Johnny, is if you already have the problem and you have kind of the way you want to implement it, what we can actually do between now and when this project due date comes in March is host events to help teach you specific tech skills and utilize the Google technology to make you be able to build this prototype yourself, right? That's part of this discovery journey of Solution Challenge, is by looking at what is going on in the world and how you want to help, it uncovers new things that you need to learn and you may be extremely passionate about. So Johnny, I would actually say that that is a fantastic question. And I would just say that, make sure you ask your community officers, right, to host specific events which focus on the technology you need, right? If it's machine learning, if it's TensorFlow, if it's, a Google Maps API crash course, all you have to do is ask. And, if they can't help you at their level, we certainly have a community which will be hosting one of these events to help you through this challenge. So don't be alarmed. We will help you throughout this process. And I'm actually really excited to see where you can go. Sounds like you have probably a pretty good idea here. And now we just need to help teach you some cool skills. And I would love to see where your project finishes. So Johnny, I got my eyes on you. I fully expect that project to be submitted.
Yeah, us too. And don't forget that, this starts in January and ends in March. And what that means is you get those 3 months to work on the project. So that 3 months is, learning time, develop, break things, fix them, the whole coding cycle, right? So back to the brainstorming challenge. So let's try to remember those 1 to 3 UN goals that we looked at from earlier. So, oh my gosh, I don't know why I keep doing this. Okay, sorry guys. So if you guys picked out a couple of these goals that looked interesting to you, we have a kind of milestone challenge for y'all to do in your own DSC community, whether that's the PSU DSC, which I think a few of you guys are from our DSC, or your own DSC. And our challenge to you is to start a thread or participate in a thread to discuss solution challenge ideas around these UN goals. So that could either be, you know, go into the general, like the hashtag general thread if you have a Slack channel, and just post a little thread saying like, okay, I'm interested in participating in the solution challenge, and I'm really interested in, you know, climate action and life underwater, and I don't really have any ideas for a solution yet. Has anybody thought of something that's interesting? Or your project one milestone, if there's already a thread like that, could be replying to that thread and just saying, oh yeah, I have an idea, or, you know, I have half an idea, or, you know, whatever. So this is just to kind of get the ball rolling, try to start talking to your other community members about project ideas, because I feel like, you know, it's not always the first idea that's the best one. Sometimes it can take a few ideas before you're like, yeah, that's something that I really want to work on, because sometimes things are a little too complicated, or, you know, they just don't quite fit. Michael, go ahead and take it
All
away.
right. Boom, boom. What? I have a bonus challenge for you for this first week presentation. I challenge you to contact at least one person in your community and interview them. Remember, they can be professors, people who work at a local business, nonprofit organizations, your mom, your dad, your sister, your cousin, your mom. And most importantly, I also challenge you to have fun with this. That's like the bonus challenge, I guess. In addition, I have something, the fun has not stopped. So let's go on to the next slide and I'll show you something even more fun. I'm gonna say fun a lot of times. So we also have a contest or raffle. You could call it a raffle. I don't know about you all, but I've been in need of a really cool backpack. So what we have is, in order for you to enter to win a Google backpack, not just any backpack, it's a Google backpack. Thanks to the generosity of Danny, he is willing to take time out of his day. Thank you, Danny, again, to send an amazing Google backpack to you. Yeah, so in order to do that, you should sign up with the DSC if you're not already a part of one, and complete the week 1 project milestone, which Leilani mentioned, and complete the bonus challenge. All right. And so there's also going to be a form included that you will enter through. And once you do that, attend the Solution Challenge info session part 2, in where we will select the winner for this backpack.
Sorry, y'all. I wanted to show you what the backpack actually looked like. So this is going to be what you could expect to see. So there's got the DSC logo. We got a nice little patch in the front for your sparkling water, water bottle, whatever your water of choice is. So make sure to take part in this challenge, because I want to make sure to reward the students who are being active and making the most of this. Tell your friends, tell everyone who's, you know, potentially a student who may want to participate in this challenge. Let's have some fun doing this and let the brainstorming begin, y'all.
Wow, I didn't know it was like a DSC specific backpack. That's awesome.
To you know, brag on it a little bit more, it's also made from 100% like recycled materials, so it's also environmentally sustainable. So it does also adhere to those guidelines that we mentioned earlier. So we don't just, you know, talk the talk, we walk the walk. So y'all can do it as well.
Awesome. Yeah, and I did, real quick actually, if I can figure out how to run a slideshow, I did give you guys the start to a Slack message that you could create your discussion thread. I didn't give you everything because I want you guys to make it your own. But yeah, here's that. If you need ideas. And yeah, other than that, Lee Yun, you can take it away since we're a little over time, but thank you guys all.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that was a wonderful and awesome presentation. Thank you guys. Yeah, so just like Leilani mentioned, so and also Michael. Yeah, so if you want to attend our, 2021 Google Solution Challenge, you have to get involved in any local chapter, around in your universities or colleges, or or like the closest colleges or universities. Yeah, so please, and also if you are a PSU students, but if you are not our member, please remember to join our club to be our regular member. And then the other thing I want to mention is, so actually our club is recruiting more technical leads. So if you are interested in being core team members, to be able to learn and teaching new technologies and programming for our regular members, so please contact me or other core team members. We are happy to help you, finish the application form, and yeah, and that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Remember, have fun.
Yes.
Yeah, have fun.
And also remember to look out for our second event. We haven't quite settled on a date yet, but we will be doing a part 2 to this event. And happy holidays.
Thank you all so much for letting me join. I look forward to joining future events of y'all's in the future, regardless of whether it's Solution Challenge focused or not. Again, please connect with me on LinkedIn. I would love to be a mentor, a friend to y'all through this process. Finally, I will say this, you will get out of this process what you put in. So I really highly encourage y'all to participate and to make the most of this amazing opportunity. We're going to give out some great resources, connect you with some amazing mentors. And ultimately, I would love it if someone on this call is part of a winning solution. For me, that would just make me feel really happy, and honestly, would just make my year. So with that, y'all have a great rest of your year or not. The choice is yours. Happy holidays. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time.
All
Bye.
right. Bye, Danny. And if any of you guys need any links to anything, let me know. I can drop them in the chat. But yeah, other than that, yeah, see everyone next year for sure. We've got a couple days left in this fantastic year.
Yep. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care,
Bye.
guys.
Thank you all.